on College Press Box, the Texas men's basketball team had their first home win.
The women rolled a 3-0 in Houston.
And will the Longhorns stuff the Raiders in the Thanksgiving game?
All this and more tonight. Keep it here. Welcome to College Press Box. You found us, which means you found the #1 source for Longhorn sports coverage on the 40 acres. I'm Eric Goodman, and with me is Jessica Robinson. Jess, I'm thrilled to have you next to me as we both make our College Press Box debuts.
It's so great to be here with you, Eric. We've got a fabulous show lined up for y'all tonight.
Now, before we start, Jess, you had an interesting experience at the women's basketball game really early in the morning almost, and there were kids everywhere.
There were kids everywhere. The atmosphere was electric. It was so amazing. The kids were dancing to every song that was put on. It was great. Now, Eric, how was the men's basketball game?
Yeah, it was my first trip to the Frank Irwin Center. Super great environment. It was right next to the Longhorn bench, and it was.
Wow.
I really recommend catching as many games this year as you can.
That sounds awesome.
Now, after tipping off the season with a sour trip to Beijing, the Texas men's basketball team looked to rebound Saturday in the regular season home opener. Shaka Smart's Horns hosted the Islanders of Texas A&M Corpus Christi in search for the first win of the new era. Let's swing it to the Irwin Center for the highlights. Shaka Smart takes the court at the Frank Irwin Center in his first home game. Early on, Cam Ridley shows good moves inside in the post. It would be the Islanders, though, that would take the early lead, here hitting deep from three. Kendall Yancey would respond later with an athletic layup. But later in the game, he would leave the game with a concussion. Reports suggest, though, he will make the trip to the Bahamas for the Longhorns' next game. Later in the first half, Connor Lammert gets big on the defensive side. And then DeMarcus Holland misses the athletic layup, but Prince Ebay comes to the rescue. The Longhorns' offense cooking is Javon Felix. Hits it from bonus land. Islanders hanging in there, though. Deshaun Thomas, as we'll see in a minute, finds himself a little hole off the Duvier pass inside the Longhorns' defense. Finishes inside, and a little bit later, different players, same result. Islanders hanging in there. A bit later, though, Connor Lammert hits from outside as the Horns start to pull away. Isaiah Taylor makes the drive, as we'll see in a bit. Can't finish on the layup, but wham, bam, thank you, Cam. Ridley with the putback. Longhorns starting to close the door as Lammert offers up some early Thanksgiving stuffing. And Shaka Smart notches his first win as the Horns prevail, 67-56. College Press Box's own Matt Adams was courtside at the Drum for Coach Smart's first win in Austin.
Texas struggled overseas in Shaka Smart's first game, but coming back home, things look a little bit better for the Longhorns.
I think we did some really good things pushing the ball in transition. I think we did some really good things when we got the ball inside to the bigs. We got consecutive stops in a lot of different sequences in the game, and pretty much, we can't turn the ball over like we did tonight. I think we turned the ball over 18 times. That's too many, and that's something that we had to correct.
Despite the help from the Texas seniors, Cameron Ridley was the man who stepped up with 14 points and 14 rebounds. Coach Shaka Smart keeps talking about he is a player to watch out for.
Cam, first of all, he's a very, very conscientious, intelligent young man, and I think he's starting to see what he can do, but it's not easy, especially when you're that big and you're that strong. It's not easy to play with ridiculous effort every single time down, and we're not all the way there yet. There was a few plays tonight where he got a little bit lax. But, he played with a better motor. He ran some rebounds down that were really impressive, that were out of his area. So if we can keep moving him forward in that area, then we'll be in good shape.
Texas now being 1-1, the Longhorns have a couple of options to face on offense. Do they want to rely on the big men, or do they want to rely on Isaiah Taylor and the guard play? This is something the Longhorns must figure out quickly as they face a 4-0 Texas A&M squad in the Bahamas on Wednesday. From the Frank Erwin Center, I'm Matthew Adams, College Press Box.
We are here with basketball analyst Reese Miller. Reese, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, guys. Great to be a part of your first show, and certainly ready to get over this hump, watch some basketball on Wednesday night, football, and turkey on Thursday.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. Longhorn senior center Cameron Ridley put up 14 points and 14 rebounds for his 14th career double-double in the last game. Reese, do you think that his inside presence could lead his team to a win?
I think he was a big part of the win over Texas A&M Corpus Christi for sure. 14 rebounds, 14 points. The real problem is going forward, what kind of identity is Texas going to have? Are they going to try to feed Cam Ridley down low, Prince Ebay as well, which you saw a little bit of what Rick Barnes tried to do last season. Didn't totally work, obviously, with the first-round NCAA tournament exit. But for Cam Ridley, I think what you're seeing is a guy who's been here 4 years now. He started to develop supposedly for the fourth straight summer. We've heard he's in the best shape of his life and should be coming into his own. Now, whether he's able to progress and become the McDonald's All-American type 5-star recruit that everybody's thought he could be, I think that's still yet to come. Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, obviously well undersized. I think the big battle is going to be against Iowa State, Kansas, and Oklahoma, really in Big 12 play when you really have actual size that can compare to him. And I think he and Prince Ebay can certainly give teams a problem down low.
Yeah, and Reese hit it there. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, very undersized. This is the type of game that a big man like Ridley should have dominated and did to his credit. I am a little more optimistic that in this new Shaka Smart system, which saw bigs as recently as Mo Alley Cox become a big part of the offense and defense, I think as Shaka Smart tries to stretch the floor, that could open up more lanes for Ridley and could see his best season as a center at the Texas Longhorns. Now, over a third of Texas's scoring, Reese, came from beyond the arc in this game. Shaka Smart's VCU teams relied heavily on the three ball, but they had sharpshooters. Is there enough shooting talent on this Longhorn team for threes to be such a big part of the game plan?
Eric, I think that's a great question. I think that's one that's really going to determine the fate of this Texas team and how they stack up in the Big 12. Javon Felix, obviously 4 of 4 from deep. He's been good. Well, he's been streaky throughout his career at Texas, obviously in his fourth season now. I think what you're going to see is how his Isaiah Taylor shot progressed from deep, but really the three freshmen. Tevin Mack still hasn't hit a shot. Eric Davis Jr. is supposed to be maybe the best shooter on the team. Kerwin Roach has hit a couple as well. I think three-point shooting is going to be the battle of, do you want to try to move the ball inside or do you want to kick it out and try to shoot threes? And I think you're seeing Shaka Smart try to figure out what this team is going to be. Obviously, it's still early season, but that's something that really bit them against Washington in Shanghai, was unable to put the ball in the hoop from beyond the arc. So, yes, it was good to see that, but against this competition here, keep in mind, Texas A&M on Wednesday, number 25 overall, according to the AP poll. That's going to be a good defensive team and really show where this Texas team stacks up against really solid competition.
Great point, Reese. I think the talent is there, and they'll let it fly when they have the opportunity, but they are still trying to find their identity. Great point. Moving on to the third question. Texas takes on longtime rival Texas A&M in the Battle for Atlantis tournament in the Bahamas this Wednesday. Texas has won 5 straight in 42 of the last 51 meetings against the Aggies going into this week's game. Now, Reese, with the Texas defense limiting their last 2 opponents to 29.9% field goal shooting, do you think the Horns will be able to stop the Aggies with this incredible defense they've been showing so far? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts of the defense so far is against a Washington team who mainly has 3 or 4 freshmen on the floor for most of the time. Neither team very impressive in that battle against Shanghai. Obviously, we've talked about it, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, the Islanders, not nearly the type of talent that Texas will see on Wednesday night in the Bahamas with Texas A&M. Excellent recruiting class last year, a couple of major studs out of Plano who really can shoot the ball from beyond the arc. I think you're really going to start to see how much of this havoc is going to play into effect against a team that is on the rise here a little bit in Texas A&M. You mentioned how much they've dominated in recent history against the Aggies, but the last time they played was 2012 when Texas squeaked out a 2-point win in College Station. So the defense has been good. I think the havoc is really starting to play, but we talked about Cameron Ridley earlier, Prince eBay earlier. I think the biggest challenge is going to see if those big guys can keep up the way Shaka Smart moves with the pace of this offense and defense, especially in the front court there. We know the guards can keep up, but can the bigs keep up and keep the Aggies out of the paint? I think that makes the difference on Wednesday night.
After the break, we are back with Reese to break down Texas women's basketball. Don't go anywhere. This is College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. This past week, women's basketball headed into their second game of the season against Northwestern State. The Horns' performance gave fans much to look forward to in this next season. Let's check out the highlights. Senior center Imani Boyette jumps the pass and goes all the way down for the layup. Imani Boyette is a star. 6'7", there she goes waiting in the post, and she follows through with yet again another basket. Here we have Northwestern State guard passing it around. Beatrice Altura, there she goes, as she knocks down a deep two to try and cut the quick margin. UT guard Breonna Taylor bails out the Horns in the post position. We got good passing down. There she goes. Another easy two, Breonna Taylor. Northwestern State's Emerald Mayfield pulls up around the arc for an easy two. We are in the second half. Guard Brooke McCarty steals the pass. There she goes down the court for an easy layup. Brooke McCarty on fire. There she goes again. We get to see some good offense, good passing by Texas offense. Here we go, McCarty again. Why not pull a three? Why not make it? There she goes on fire this game. Here we have UT center Kelsey Lang ended up scoring most of the final points in the game. Texas winning 86-33 against Northwestern State. I had the opportunity to get an up-close and personal look at how the team is doing this season. Let's take a look. In the second game of the season, Texas women's basketball defeated Northwestern State by over 60 points. Coach Karen Aston says this victory is a statement to this team's new offensive spark.
The biggest hurdle that we had coming from last year to this year was shooting the basketball, and could we shoot better? Would we be more aggressive offensively on the perimeter? And I definitely think that we have more firepower. I mean, there's no question about it.
Fireworks and pre-show activities foreshadowed the Longhorns' explosive offense. Imani Boyette led the team in scoring with her inside presence.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm an offensive threat. I think I've always been able to score, but I haven't necessarily made that my primary objective until recently, and my team needs me to score every day so that other people can score.
Well, I think Imani is healthier earlier this year. She's had times when she's had to sit out, a month or first semester, as in last year, and I think to have her in November is terrific.
When Imani scores, everyone scores. Her 25 points allowed Breonna Taylor to come off the bench and be the third highest scorer with 11 points.
My role coming off the bench, bringing energy and helping us to get going and, making stops or, making a play. So now I'm more comfortable in that role, so I'm embracing it.
And I think we have a dynamic bench that is going to get better and better. So the potential for them to continue to improve is there. I mean, it's going to happen. They're going to get better.
Texas has 9 games before they begin their Big 12 conference play in late December. Jessica Robinson, College Press Box.
The Longhorn women kept their stride in Houston Saturday, running past the Rice Owls 70-47. The team fell behind early, trailing at the end of the first quarter. However, led by junior Breonna Taylor with 19 points, the team was able to rally. Underclassmen guards Brooke McCarty and LaShawn Higgs also put up double figures to help lead the team to victory. Karen Aston's Longhorns now find themselves a 3-0 record and a top 10 ranking. Imani Boyette put up only 4 points, but that puts her just another 4 points short of becoming only the 38th person in Texas women's team history to put up 1,000 career points. Let's bring Reese Miller back into the conversation. Reese, the Texas women's basketball team defeated Northwestern State by over 15 points, and we saw a stellar shooting game from senior Imani Boyette. What went into that dominating win for Karen Aston's team?
I think you mentioned it. Imani Boyette, you've got Kelsey Lang down there as the bigs for Texas. This is a team, guys, that I really think, they got to the Sweet 16 last year, obviously got waxed by UConn in that third round, but this is a team that I think has Elite Eight potential. You've got Brooke McCarty running point. You've got Brianna Taylor, who really out of nowhere after having an okay freshman season last year as a sophomore, putting up a career-high 20 points the other night. I think the additions of LaShawn Higgs, one of the top recruits, another McDonald's All-American last season from Texas. I think this is a team that can really make some noise here in the Big 12 Conference. A couple of people picked them to win that Big 12, but again, this is an early season opponent that Texas should dominate. They took care of business against Northwestern State and against Rice on the road. 16-1 all time at Rice. Very impressive. I think you're really going to see a couple tests here in a couple of weeks. That's Sunday that they host Stanford. I think that's one of the games. Remember, they beat Stanford last season. That's a game to watch out for and sort of circle that you can kind of see where this Texas team is.
Jess, you were there. What did you see? What does it look like for this women's team going forward?
You know what? Definitely agree with Reese. Imani Boyette is a game changer. Her scoring opens up the opportunity for others to score as well, and it clearly showed with her scoring 25 of the team's 86 points. And because she did this great, she was able to get other people involved, specifically junior guard Brianna Taylor with 15 points in the Northwestern State game. Let's move to the next question. The Longhorns are going into this week ranked number 8 by the AP poll. Do you think they will live up to the fans' expectations and keep this momentum going, or will they crumble like previous seasons? What are your thoughts, Reese?
I think fan expectations is an interesting term. Last season, they rose, remember, all the way up to number 3 in the polls after knocking off Stanford after beating Tennessee. Then they lost Nneka Impali. They lost Ariel Atkins for a bit of time. So I think injuries had a major part to do with last season, yet they still found a way to rise up and make a Sweet 16 run. This season, I think people are finally starting to get on this Longhorn train. Now, the other day, actually last Tuesday, it was another Karen Aston top 5 recruiting class. So the word is starting to get out there for Texas fans that this team is going to be really, really good. I personally have a lot of faith in this Texas team. You have people like Brady Sanders who can really shoot the ball from beyond the arc. We already talked about Imani Boyette and Kelsey Lang. If they go both of those two bigs, it's a dominating presence down low. They have athletic guards. They're one of the best rebounding teams in the nation. Overall, I think Texas is sort of morphing and has that train on the right tracks to becoming an NCAA powerhouse. I really mean that. I think Karen Aston with 3 straight top 5 recruiting classes, very solid last year. I think they have a chance to be in the top 5 NCAA rankings by the time Big 12 rolls around and really give Baylor a run.
Now, Eric, what are your thoughts on this season's new basketball team?
Well, Karen Aston at the beginning of the season was very vocal that this early stretch to open up the season would be one very trying time to get the young team, especially this stellar recruiting class that Reese mentioned, into the fold. Now it's been 3-0. We're not quite out of it yet, but it's been very good success going forward. And once we see a matchup against this really tough Tennessee Volunteers team, looking forward, I think there's a lot to hope forward to for this Texas basketball team. Now, when we come back on College Press Box, we'll recap a pair of Big 12 bouts for Texas's top 5 ranked volleyball team and also hit the pool and the track, so don't go anywhere.
See you later.
Thanks for sticking with us on College Press Box. In the first of 2 Big 12 matchups last week, the Texas women's volleyball team cruised to their 23rd win of the season, sweeping the Baylor Bears in 3 sets on Wednesday. The 16-12 Bears hung around late into the first set, but the Longhorns pulled away to take the first set 25-20. Baylor made one last run at extending the game in the 3rd set, but senior Amy Neal led the way with 13 kills and 3 aces to bring home the victory for the Longhorns.
In their final home game of the season, the 5th-ranked Texas volleyball team defeated Kansas State 4-1 this past Saturday. Texas lost the first set 33-31, but the Longhorns came back and won 3 straight sets. After being honored pregame on senior night, senior Amy Neal had her 8th double-double on the season. Both Neal and Chiaka Ubagu each had 18 kills, which is a career high for Ubagu. Junior Chloe Collins led with 56 assists, And with this win, Texas volleyball has guaranteed themselves at least a shared Big 12 conference title.
Diving teams from across the nation traveled to Austin last weekend for the 4th annual UT Diving Invitational at the Jamale Texas Swimming Center. Longhorn junior Mark Anderson stole the show, winning 2 events outright and finishing 5th in a third. It was a terrific showing from the 2015 Big 12 Men's Diver of the Year. The Longhorns will return to the pool after the Thanksgiving break for the Texas Invitational.
Men's and women's cross country each came away with 31st place at the NCAA Championships in Kentucky this past weekend. This year, both teams qualified to compete in the championship for the first time since 2012. Senior Connor Ward was the top finisher for the Texas women, crossing the finish line in 192nd place. On the men's side, freshman Jacob Pickle crossed first for the Horns at 106th at a time of 31 minutes over 10,000 meters. Coach Brad Herbster said with a talented recruiting class coming in next year, this Texas team has much to look forward to for this coming season. Next up, we will be reviewing this coming week in Longhorn sports. Stay with us. This is College Press Box.
Glad to have you back with us on College Press Box. Unfortunately, this is our final episode before College Press Box takes a holiday vacation until 2016. So we're going to take an extra long look at Longhorn sports coming up in the next 2 weeks. On Wednesday, the men's basketball plays Texas A&M at 6 p.m. in the Bahamas on ASX TV. Women's basketball will play Hampton at 7 p.m. You can catch that on Longhorn Network. And Thursday, football plays their annual Thanksgiving game against Texas Tech at 6:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1.
This Friday, actually, volleyball is playing at Oklahoma at 3 p.m. You can catch that on Fox Sports Southwest. Men's basketball will also be playing this weekend, so that's something to look forward to. This Sunday, women's basketball will be playing at Tennessee at 1:30, and you can catch that on the Longhorn Network. Tuesday, the 1st of December, men's basketball is playing UT Arlington at 7 p.m., and you can catch that on the Longhorn Network.
We're into December now, and on the 2nd, women's basketball matches up against Mississippi State at 7 p.m. on Longhorn Network. Also on Wednesday, and through Saturday, the men's swimming and diving team will hit the pool at the Texas Invitational. And finally, Friday, December 4th, men's basketball will play Sanford at 8 p.m. on Longhorn Network. And as we mentioned, this is the last College Press Box of 2015, so we thought we'd pay homage to a few names who we lost in the past year and salute new ones we're just getting to know.
Goodbye, former basketball coach Rick Barnes. You are now head coach at Tennessee. UT must have a special ring to it.
Hello, Shaka Smart. We're certainly looking forward to completely overusing the puns that come with your last name.
Goodbye, Steve Patterson. You had a great run.
Hello, Mike Perrin. Goodbye, Mike Perrin.
Goodbye, Nick Rose's extra point against Cal. We're sure you would have made it from 60 yards away.
Hello, Texas Tech. You're not exactly A&M, but this Thanksgiving, we're thankful for that.
The Longhorns host Texas Tech on Thanksgiving Day. Now, Eric, I'm sure turkey won't be the only thing roasted this Thanksgiving.
No, this presents a really great chance. I'm actually getting a chance to visit the house for the first time that my parents just moved into.
Wow.
So I'm really excited. We're hosting Thanksgiving dinner, and it's my favorite holiday of the year. How about your plans?
I'm gonna go hang out with the family, excited to get stuffed on pie and turkey. I cannot wait. Well, thank you for joining us on our last show of the semester. You can catch us next semester on College Press Box. You can follow us on Twitter at College Press Box. We air Monday night at 9:30. College Crossfire is at Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. You can follow us on Twitter at College Xfire. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Have a great Thanksgiving.
And if they tryna doubt the South, that's fine.